Well, it's great to have all of you here. Just a few opening kind of welcoming comments as other people join. This was kind of a great opportunity to just connect and chat with alums about one of the more memorable parts of most of our Vermont Academy experiences, which was Winter Carnival. And, this has been a wonderful week in this country in terms of winter, not so much for people in Texas, but, there's plenty of snow, which I know some years at VA, there hasn't been snow, which has been an interesting challenge. But it's great to have you all here. I'm joined today as my co-moderator, Jim Fry, who, has, in addition to being an alum from the class of 66, worked at VA for 40 years, is still working there, but now teaching Latin instead of physics and science and math, and was kind of the unofficial MC of Winter Carnival for much of the last 20 years, as I recall. So he's my co-moderator. We have several panelists today with us. We're very fortunate to have a current student in Jasmine Creamer, class of 21, a 4-year senior. Lauren Eppinger, class of 20, is with us. Austin DeLong, class of 2006. Lisa Eckhart McNeilis, class of 79. And Bill Morton, class of 57. And they're going to just kind of help facilitate some things and talk about what Winter Carnival means to them as well. And it's just great to have you all here. So,
thanks, Tom.
Jim, any opening words?
Welcome to Winter Carnival. It started last night, actually. I think the opening ceremonies were at the fire pit, which is, in the later decades. There was a big air competition. I don't know how that went. One of my freshmen was supposed to be participating in it, and he didn't know what he was going to do. So I told him, just go up there and fall down and be all set. So how did it go, Jennifer? I assume it went well. It usually does.
Yes, I think we had a few more students trying a backflip for the first time than we would like. But other than that, it went really well.
Yeah, backflips. Yeah, they're students. They never learn. So let's see. What's Broomball is still there. That had some opening rounds, I think. That's always fun to get smashed against the boards and slip and fall down and hurt your elbows. And we no longer use real brooms. We always used to use real brooms, or the remains of real brooms, but I think they use commercially made plastic brooms now, and helmets are mandatory. That's different. I don't think even Austin DeLong wore a helmet in those days.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think most people did, but we definitely had the plastic brooms though.
Oh, you did? Oh, so you're modern. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, too bad. Wooden hockey stick, but plastic broom, yeah.
Wooden hockey stick and plastic broom. That's because BU created the plastic broom era. They couldn't deal with the stuff on the ice from the real brooms. We never have a problem with that. So today, what's going on today? Let's see. I've never heard of the radio flyer. That's a new one. What's the radio flyer? Jazz? What's the radio flyer?
I think this is more, I don't know really. I think it's a skiing one, but I'm not entirely sure. Do you know, Miss McNeilis?
Yeah, the radio flyer is actually super fun because what happens is kids take a radio flyer, the old-fashioned sled, run up the ski hill, hand it off to somebody else. That person comes down through slalom poles. And then last year they had them go over and put on the tandem skis and ski a loop. So it was 4 kids at least who were involved in it, which was really fun.
Oh, so it's more than
but this year
it's more than just one.
Pardon?
It's more than just one, like just coming down the hill on your sled.
Right, it's a couple of courses.
Yeah.
And it's set up as like a relay. It is a relay. Everybody's just doing a different leg.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really neat about Winter Carnival is there are many things that are the same every year, but then every year has different twists. And, I think that's really neat. If you had to explain what Winter Carnival meant to you in a couple of words, how would you do that? Just a couple people, just feel free to share some words. George Wells.
Bring a date.
Well, that's true. I mean,
Times
back in the day, Winter Carnival was the only
weekend.
time that women were allowed on campus.
And some of our dates stayed at the Levitt House. And then after the major event for Saturday night was over, we snuck down into the basement of Levitt House and had an after dance. That was very nice.
George, who drew those beautiful ink drawings of that you showed me?
Charlie Maskell.
They're gorgeous.
They are, yes. Yep.
Yeah, Carnival definitely has changed since we've gone co-ed. Because when we were boys only, there were no girls there, so dances didn't exist unless we went somewhere. Or Winter Carnival when you could invite a date on campus for the weekend. So
Or
that
girls
Or-
tours came to us.
Or
you snuck them on.
you had chosen to be earnest senior year in the importance of being earnest. So I had to play opposite a female lead who happened to be the daughter of Dan Millette. The Millettes lived right there in Saxon's River. And she was the pianist for the Glee Club.
I actually think that this year or lately, instead of the dances that you guys talk about, we turned it into a lip sync. So now all the dorms, as a competition, we all get up on the big stage, and each team picks their own song, and you make a whole choreographed dance and you pretend to sing. And that's how we finish off our closing ceremony. And then we announce the winner when the whole school is gathered. So I think that's what we picked instead of the dance, and that's definitely a lot of fun, and a lot of people get into that.
I'll jump in here. Bill Morton. What Winter Carnival means to me, well, I had never been to a Winter Carnival prior to attending VA. And so I guess 2 or 3 days before, maybe the Monday through that week, or at least 2 or 3 days before the Winter Carnival, there's a whole different stirring on the campus and a lot of discussion about the Winter Carnival. Well, what is it? I didn't know what it was, and so there was a bit of excitement that continued to build up. So I guess the first word that I would think about would be anticipation leading up to the Winter Carnival. And the second the second word that I would describe the meaning of the Winter Carnival to me would be competition. That was very exciting, both the hockey and the skiing. And the third I would say would be camaraderie during the weekend event. Everyone was right in with everyone else. It was just a great time and a lot of fun. It was a fun event. So it was a lot of fun to have that kind of break during the winter.
What were some of the favorite events people had when they were there?
I'll jump in on that.
Yeah.
But I actually also wanted to touch on Bill's point. I thought all three of those words were pretty perfect. And especially when you think about, I think it would be so easy for some students to kind of think, Winter Carnival, what's that about? Like, that's stupid. I don't want to take part of that. But it's so far from the truth. Like, when the competition, the camaraderie, I mean, everybody cared so much about Winter Carnival. There was buy-in from everyone. And I think it was one of those things that, because of the long-standing tradition of it, it helped just brought out like school pride and thinking about how this carnival is going on for over 100 years or whatever it might be, and how you're competing in this similar fashion to people so long ago. When I was there, Broomball was absolutely the marquee event. I mean, that was like, it's funny because you know, we'd have pickup Broomball throughout the year and nobody would go or care about it. But as soon as Winter Carnival hit, I mean, it was just everything revolved around the Winter Carnival Broomball tournament, at least, you know, the few years that I was there.
Yeah, my favorite event was probably what Jazz was talking about earlier, or Jasmine, when she was talking about the lip sync that we now do. I don't know if you've ever seen like 20 high school boys get on stage and lip sync to a Justin Bieber song. It's beautiful. Probably the highlight of my entire high school career. But it's just, you see a lot of people in a different way than you normally would. Like these guys, a lot of them, you know, they were hockey players. They were like known as on campus as being like these big athletes. And then they're there on stage singing to each other in a romantic duet.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think the best is not even when the 20 boys are on stage, but when it's just two of them doing a romantic duet to a song from the Titanic. So I think that was definitely my highlight of Winter Carnival, is just seeing the two boys that you would never think would ever get on stage, just belting their hearts out.
Can I get a word in?
Sure.
Yeah, I competed in 3 Winter Carnivals. My dorm did not lose the lip sync competition once. Like my dorm won every time. Like I always had so much fun during it because I love performing, love singing, and just in my junior year, though, I choreographed my lip syncing out my entire dorm to do it. So that was one of my best. That's one of the biggest accomplishments at VA, honestly.
So
I was a freshman when Harry was a senior, so I miss you. He was my manager for hockey. We spent a lot of time together, but I can definitely see that for sure.
So that's where the changes this year, though. That's where the changes this year is that because of COVID, we can't have the lip sync and everything for the closing ceremony. So in the rink, they're doing synchronized skating. But basically, it's skating routines to music. So they still are taking that the lip sync aspect of it, and now you're going to have your hockey players, your skaters, anybody going out, and now they're going to do their skating routine. So it'll be interesting, and that's part of the closing ceremonies then.
Hi everybody. Sorry we were muted before. I can't believe you're doing synchro skating. I competed in synchro skating for years, for about 15 years. And I think that's the most awesome thing to do and wonderful. And I wish we'd had it back then. That's a great, great addition to the whole flavor of Winter Carnival.
So we had a couple of hockey players named Harlows, the Harlow brothers, and they were really, really good hockey players. And they did a synchronized skating, figure skating event during their Winter Carnival, and they were fantastic to watch. These two extremely unbelievable hockey players, very good skaters, and then doing synchronous figure skating. It was great. It was fantastic. I don't know if they actually sang, but they probably could. But it was a fantastic. Winter Carnival is so good because it puts so many different people in so many different positions that they're not used to, and they go for it, and that's, the competitions used to be all about team sports, and now the competitions really have nothing to do with the team sport. They're all about your team and your comrades and working together to accomplish some goal outside of your normal athletic event. And so there's been a shift over the years, just like there's no longer a dance. It's about something totally different. So school's evolving daily, weekly, monthly, yearly.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's been at Vermont Academy knows that winter is a very long time. What is it about Winter Carnival that really brings out all this energy and frivolity and competition?
I think it's just the need for a well-earned break during the winter, and it provides just a tremendous break in the routine, going to classes, and a good break.
A fun break.
Fun break.
When I got the invite, Lisa McNeilis reached out to me and asked me to join, and so for me, when I saw the words Winter Carnival, the thing that came back to me was The snowshoe races, those were by far the funniest and most competitive part of the whole winter carnival. So, you talk about taking people out of their comfort zone and you put them on snowshoes and you make an obstacle course, and that's quite humorous. That was by far, I think, in my mind, the funniest thing about winter carnival.
So,
and
Tom,
the broomball, we're bringing back the memories of the broomball too.
did I make you go through a barrel, Tom, on your year, or was it just over sawhorses?
I think it was just over the sawhorses and running around with the snowshoes on. And I remember taking a pretty good digger, but it's, it was very funny.
Does anyone know
Those were big snowshoes, so everybody walked like a duck.
Right, they were
They're not those
Absolutely.
nice mini ones.
They weren't the
Huh?
little. They were the big ones.
They were the big ones.
They were the big
Bill
ones.
Rawhide. Yep.
I think
Rawhide,
we should
yeah.
bring that back for the lip sync. Lip sync on snowshoe.
Does anyone have any idea, like the original Winter Carnival events?
Oh, look at those. Wow.
Well, originally it was all about skiing and hockey. Originally, because the school wasn't co-ed so
Right.
much, and dances weren't. It was a 4-event winter carnival for skiing, and that's a traditional thing for New England anyway. Dartmouth as well as Vermont Academy is a 4-event winter carnival, and UVM and Middlebury, and they still maintain that tradition of the winter carnival being about 4-event skiing.
Yeah.
Now the 4 events don't really work very well, but still cross country and in some places jumping. Brattleboro's winter carnivals focused around jumping, ski jumping.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of broke from that and try to get everyone involved in winter carnival and have like the snowshoe races and obstacle course on the rink and
Yeah.
all kinds of other funny things, and not so much just team sports. We sort of headed in a different direction to be very inclusive for our whole campus. But originally it was about 4 event skiers.
Gotcha. And do you know any of I always hear that, VA's is the oldest in the country. Like, is that actually true?
We may be the oldest in New England, but I think Minnesota actually has a town that had a winter carnival before Vermont Academy. Dartmouth had the winter carnival the next year after Vermont Academy. I think we probably hold the record for the longest consecutive winter carnivals. We've never missed a year.
Gotcha. And I assume it's the same year as the school was founded. That was the first one.
It started that early,
No.
the year after.
It started in 1909.
Oh, okay.
So
School
after
was founded in 1876.
76, yeah, right.
I have a little story to add here. There was an attempt by Dartmouth to claim that they had the oldest winter carnival in the country, and the Levitts got involved in debating that and called James P. Taylor, who they called Jimmy. He's the founder of the Long Trail, and he was our assistant head of school from 1908 to 1912, and he started the first winter carnival and brought VA students to Dartmouth to start theirs. And so the Vermont Historical Museum sent me all the dialogue with the Levitts, with Jimmy Taylor, with Dartmouth, and we reestablished our domain.
That's an awesome.
I don't think they're doing the winter carnival this year.
Yeah. Man, I feel like there's gotta be, it feels like that should be like a journalistic piece that some major publication would want to write about, especially if there's actually dialogue from that era. I feel like that could be a really cool calling card for VA that gets blown out by some, big coverage at least regionally.
Nicole, that's for you.
We can add in, Austin, were you here the year that, was it Allie Talbot jumped through from the jump through a ring of fire?
I don't think so, no.
No?
I wish I was.
It was amazing. Jim, do you remember that?
Yeah, I think we got to be very careful with the ring of fire.
That makes sense.
We built
Why, whatever for?
yeah, we built a propane hoop, and we didn't use the right solder, so the propane temperature of burning propane gets hotter than the solder we used, and it didn't last long enough actually, and the hoop broke, and the fire spread. You have to be. We
Yes.
had a flaming same year. We had a flaming VA. We built a VA for the propane torch too. You gotta be careful. You gotta be smarter than we are.
Can I just pop
Yep.
in with a little Winter Carnival history? I've been doing some work in the development office. So I was going through a bunch of yearbooks to help them out, and so you see the really traditional Winter Carnival like Dartmouth, like Williams, that's very focused on skiing and hockey and sports and beating other teams and then having a dance. And in the late 60s, early 70s, you start to see Winter Carnival as we kind of all know it. And then into the 80s and 90s, you really see the explosion of Winter Carnival that we see today.
Thanks, lady. George.
The other thing, am I on? Can you hear
Yes.
me? Okay. The other thing I remember, in addition to the 4 events, skiing and the hockey and basketball in the old Armory gym, was the snow sculpting. And of course, we all hoped that there was going to be enough snow to be able to do that. And I went to Williams, and that tradition, Winter Carnival tradition, continued there, the snow sculpting. And I'm sure that was true in Dartmouth.
You know, CB, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
You know,
Hi,
I know-
everybody.
And I
Yeah.
know you were a 4-event skier, and actually there for the 50th anniversary of Winter Carnival back in '59. And I know your son was there in 2010, I believe. Have you ever compared notes?
Well, yeah, Chase, I was hoping would be on the call, but I have a lot of fond memories, as you all do, of the time that I spent at Vermont Academy, and now I'm a long ways away out in California, and I have not really been back to Vermont probably in 3 or 4 years. So it's nice to catch up, and hopefully I'll have a time to come back and renew some relationships with all of you.
Good to have you here. You know, I know this year's theme is movies, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at the banners. And we had a kind of planning call. None of us could remember the themes of Winter Carnivals when we were there as students. Do any of you guys remember the themes of your Winter Carnival or any of the years you were there?
Well, I think I'm a lot more recent than
Right.
many other people on this call right now. And so I do actually remember all of my themes. And I think my favorite was in my sophomore year. So 2017, I think that was the year, maybe 2018. We did hybrid animals, which was completely bizarre. And so teams got to pick 2 animals and combine them to make their own animal. So I know that my dorm, we were the petties, which was half penguin, half cat or kitty. And it was an animal with a cat's head and a penguin's body. I know others, someone did the pow, which I think was half penguin, half cow. Those are the 2 I really remember, but I just remember it being a very bizarre year where for like 2 weeks time, everyone was trying to figure out, okay, why are we combining animals, first of all? And what 2 animals are we going to combine to make a new animal?
Pretty good. It's a nice level of like creativity mixed in there. Can't just pick one. We had we did something similar to movies when I was a freshman. I think it was you had to pick like a specific group of people from a movie. So like the Day Student Boys were the Ghostbusters, but I don't think it was just related to the movies. I think it was more like a group of, or maybe it was a group of, you know, heroes or vigilantes, or I don't remember exactly, but that one was pretty good. We also had an animals one year. Two Animals is definitely is a little more clever than ours though. And I think we did musicians one year. I think we had something to do with Jimmy Buffett or I don't know.
My favorite was the year that you guys all did Ben and Jerry's flavors, which always very close to my heart. And then I remember the boys on A4 did cinnamon bun as their flavor, and they had sweatpants with cinnamon buns on the back.
I remember, I think it was my second year possibly, but we had, it was bands or something like that. And my dorm was One Direction, but there was another dorm and I think they picked Kiss. So when they were doing their lip sync, they had the huge hair and all the makeup and going all out with like, they got some guitars from somewhere. And that was definitely probably my favorite theme just because everyone went really, really hard at the lip.
I know when we were meeting the other day, Bill Morton shared a story of a ski jumping story that has stayed with him and kind of really had an impact on his life after the Winter Carnival. How did participation in Winter Carnival impact your post-VA life in any way?
Well, yeah, I have that story of the ski jump. However, that's probably fits under the category of one of the craziest things that happened, that I did or happened. But in terms of, I guess, in terms of the how it impacted what I had following my graduation. Well, I was quite intrigued watching the hockey competition. I'd been a skater in my younger years, not hockey, but in racer skates. And during my midlife, from 35, let's say, to 45 years old, my wife Bonnie and I resided in Glens Falls, New York. And that's about the time the Glens Falls Civic Center was being completed. And the Civic Center hosted the American Hockey League, which was where Detroit Red Wings played, the junior or the farm team. So we both, my wife and I, both went to many of the hockey games, and I thought, looks like a lot of fun. So my two sons became involved in youth hockey, and I joined an adult hockey league. It was a no-check league, but that was certainly not an appropriate name, no check, because there was plenty of checking. But yeah, and there were even a couple women on the league, so it was a lot of fun, and it was quite challenging, and there was some pretty serious checking going on. And I skied at VA, and I continued my skiing after I left VA, and I was on the National Ski Patrol for about 20 years. Started out West Mountain in Glens Falls, went up to Gore Mountain at North Creek, New York, and spent quite a few years on ski patrol there. So it was, and my son John, I'd get the family in free on the ski patrol because I was ski patrol member. So my son John took up skiing, and he really became quite an avid skier. He went to Castleton State College in Castleton, Vermont, skied at Killington quite a bit, and he actually won the Bear Mountain Challenge, their freestyle competition. He won it one year and came in second another year. He's still skiing, and at the moment he's freestyle coach out at Squaw Valley in California. So we've continue with the tradition of skiing, which for me really started at VA.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be tough to beat. That sounds like it had quite the impact.
Yeah, well, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I'd share one thing. I kind of like, I grew up in Saxons River, so I wouldn't say Winter Carnival like opened, you know, my experiences up to new things because I'd grown up doing all those things anyway. But one kind of funny carryover was, so I got married in 2019, and a lot of the guys that were on my Day Student Boys Winter Carnival teams were my groomsmen. And then one of my groomsmen was a boarding student, so he lived on A2. And when we were seniors, A2 beat the Day Student Boys by like some ridiculously small margin. You know, it was like 171.2 to 171.1. I don't know how they did. I think Mr. Shuck rigged it a little bit there at the end. But Chris Kenefick, the boarding student, he actually gave a toast at our wedding, and he brought up the fact that he beat all the Day Student Boys at Winter Carnival, you know, 13 years ago. So, you know, I thought that was kind of funny. I didn't expect him to bring that up, but as soon as he kind of brought it up, you heard all, you know, 10 of us were just, oh God, here we go again. This guy won't shut up about it 13 years later.
Yeah, now with 5 members of the class of 79 on this call, I'm surprised there isn't some rivalry there.
I'm pretty sure we were part of the Day Student Boys team when we were here.
Yeah, there wasn't a girls team, so
Right.
like all of us were on the boys team, right? Like, oh my gosh, Jane. Hey Jane. Anyway, so yeah, there weren't women's teams, at least early on.
And we had the best skiers for tandem skiing.
And for Alpine. I see Tom's still here, and we wish we
Yep.
had TV.
My freshman year, like we were all freshmen on A2, and like we came in second place. Like we couldn't topple the Day Student Boys, but like we beat A3 with like a bunch of like senior athletes. And like my dorm parent, like Mr. McCardle, like Connor McCardle, he was just so impressed with all of us. It just got us all pizza. He's like, you basically won this. And I think it just told us like, don't give up. Like, don't, just because you're a freshman doesn't mean like you can compete with the big guys. And like we play with the big guys, and like we almost toppled them. So yeah.
I think that's one of the benefits of adding in the more unique events like the lip sync or relay races. It's not necessarily just, you know, the older athletic teams are going to win. It gives, you know, everyone a chance. I think that's what's so cool. Part of what's so cool about Winter Carnival.
I also really like, because I know that they started giving participation points too. So the more people that you got from your team to show up to events, whether they participated or not, the more points you got. So that kind of leads to the one thing I took away. I mean, I took away a lot of things from Winter Carnival. I really loved it, but I became really good at like motivating people, because if you can get like 12, 13 senior and PG girls to show up at events like 9 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays, you can convince anyone to do anything. It was a feat.
Yeah, my junior year, like I had to like beg my whole dorm to like just to show up for everything. Like we got perfect participation. Like I was just on it, just like getting everyone like from my dorm just like to every event, just like, okay, just check and you can go back to your dorm if you don't want to watch. Yeah.
So I'm curious how all this boundless energy to show up for Winter Carnival events early mornings on Saturdays and Sundays translates to the classroom when it's all over. Franklin, Roberta, share some of your stories after your 40 plus years, and Jim too.
Just a second. Okay, now you can talk.
Winter Carnival, when we first came, it was the thing I remember. There was a lot of team stuff, but it was the sculptures. That was the thing. Your dorm had to have a sculpture, so you had to get everybody together. And some of them were in the earlier years were quite elaborate. That did wear away and came back and forth over the years. It seemed like there were years, of course, with snow, more snow than others. But that was the big thing. So there was a lot of hot cocoa and a lot of encouragement going on in the dormitory. The alumni wanted to have a group, and we were in Sturtevant, so that was one of the big things. And then I remember watching a lot of snowshoe racing. It was fun.
Before the indoor ice rink was built, when they were out on Fuller Field on the Broomball, and when it was an all-male school, that was the big competition, because it was more not how many goals you could score, but it was how many guys you could knock over the wall on the edge. And they would intentionally go after certain ones at times. And it was a rugged broomball game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a cool series of photos to see like the best sculptures going back through time. I can't remember any from when I was there, but you know, if there was some, there's got to be a collection of some of them.
Went through a lot of food. We went through a lot of food coloring.
Yeah.
And water buckets and making ice, and oh my goodness, it was really quite the thing. It was, and like I said, it was pretty competitive. I mean, it was dorms and what have you. We usually had freshmen, so it made it interesting. It was fun. That part I especially remember.
Food coloring was a new thing. I mean, we had to break some rules to allow food coloring. Used to be no coloring, no forms could show, nothing. It just had to be snow. And then things got a little overly competitive, and they wanted to enhance their. So Tweety Bird got colored yellow with food coloring, etc. I mean, things changed over the years. It became very competitive in a different sense than sports.
I remember being a judge one year and arriving to, I think it was Campbell, and they had their snow sculpture, but they also had a silver platter with steaming hot cocoa and chocolates from Burdick's.
No bribery intended.
I judged quite a few of those, and I'll tell you, some of that was pretty tricky judging. I mean, some were obviously not in the running. Not a whole lot was put into it, and others were pretty elaborate. So it was fun, and there was a little enticement going on at times. There was a little, I don't know, say judge bribery, but it was interesting. Was that when the girls came in for the dancing? Was that when the girls come in for dancing? Did they have the dance? Girls come in for the dancing?
The classroom, they've already, for the week before Winter Carnival, in other words, this week, kids in the classroom want to talk about Winter Carnival, past Winter Carnival's events, who did what. And then post Winter Carnival, we now give them a day off. They're totally exhausted and they just can't stay awake. So classes will resume on Tuesday, and then they'll talk about Carnival and how it wasn't fair because they lost by 1/10 of a point or whatever, So it goes on for a couple of weeks, 1 week prior, 1 week post. It's a big deal, actually. And people take a lot away from Winter Carnival. It's a good memory for everyone at the school, I think.
Yeah. Keenan, I'm going to put you on the spot. I just see PG there, so you were only there for 1 year. As a 1 year student, how did it all unfold for you?
It was both chaotic and actually some of my best memories of VA. Chaotic because I actually remember on one of the Saturdays being awoken by getting water poured on me by my roommate just to get down to go run around in my underwear in a blizzard. Only to be judged by Mr. Chanez for doing the snow angel.
And that's one of your fondest memories of VA?
That, and also the fact that rowing, it translated into spring rowing. Me and one of my friends, the floor rivalry in alumni just translated even in there.
Nice.
Was there ever any competition jumping out the windows in third floor of alumni?
Don't give him any ideas, George.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like
George. That's just for here, not for the students.
There's not enough snow.
That's just for what?
Just for here. Don't tell the current students.
Yeah. They'll definitely want
I'll,
that.
I'll deny it.
No, no.
You're going to judge it.
Yeah, we had some great flops out the third floor, that's for sure.
We used to build a luge, and we would build it so it would come down beside the ski jump, Emerson ski jump, through the woods. And most of the years it was just fine because there was plenty of snow and it was nice fluffy snow, packable fluffy snow. But occasionally we would have frozen conditions where it turned to ice and it was way too fast. And we had to shut it down a couple of times because people couldn't stay on the luge track, and wasn't lipped over like the big boys do their luge, and people were going off the track and doing all kinds of flips, and they weren't coming out of Alumni 3, and they were right there beside the ski jump. Some people thought I was absolutely nuts to do those things, but hey, it was fun for a while until it got too dangerous. I don't think they're doing that this year, but it was fun. I know we're not doing jumping out of windows, though.
That's a good thing.
I'm thinking we should bring that back. But what I love is the fact that everybody has a twinkle in their eye about winter. And there are so many reasons that you could like really be depressed about winter. And yet everybody has something that they're putting in this big snow pile of memories that is just so cool. And I'm also looking around and I'm seeing how many people still enjoy winter. And I'm like, looking especially like at my friend Jane, who's out in California and has been sending me these skiing shots that are amazing, and then the snow we've had here this year. I've got a standing date with a friend of mine to go cross country skiing, and it's been amazing. It's just been, I'll do skiing and I'll stop and I go, oh, it's so beautiful. But it's kind of like, if you get this chance to celebrate in February, whether it's ice or snow or whatever, it's just so cool that VA does this, and lets us really learn to love, if you don't already love, what winter can give you. So sorry, that's me. I'm off the soapbox now.
And me too. We didn't have a hockey season unless we had winter and lots of snow, and packing it down on the tennis courts that were out behind Alumni in my day, packing it down and then spraying the water with the hose, spraying on, and keep spraying and building up the ice. So yes, indeed, that was a big part of my life because I played hockey, and then it moved up to the field, and finally got a roof over its head.
George, did the other schools' hockey rinks, were they similar?
No, they were ahead of us, at least with a cover. They might have natural ice, but it was covered, so they didn't have to deal with the elements.
Yeah.
But we played Deerfield and Mount Herman and Kimball Uni. They had all artificial rinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually the players themselves were helping to spray it down and shovel it off and everything?
We would get the whole school community, headed by the headmaster, Larry Levitt, come out with skis, and they would all pack it down. It was an event,
That's
huge
awesome.
event. Yeah, it was just a great occasion.
Yeah.
The Zamboni was a old oil drum with holes in it, with towels on the side.
Yeah,
If
and
they
the
would
old
fall.
brooms, so forth and so on. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Builds character, right, George?
Yes. Thank you.
So one of the questions relates to the craziest things that you might have done. And I can relate one thing. It's I guess it's while I was at VA during the winter carnival period. And I'm way beyond the statute of limitations, so I don't think I'll get in trouble with Dr. Zakara on this one. But anyway, Warren Chivers, who was an Olympic skier, a jumper, as I recall, he taught me how to jump. I never made it to the big hill, but on one of the smaller hills. But going on from there, there's a rural road to the right-hand side of the campus, and it passes VA's pond that used to be, probably is still stocked with trout. And just to that, the pond is to the left of the road, and just beyond the pond on the right, there was a well-designed ski jump, a landing hill, and that was no longer in use. A couple of friends and I thought it would be a lot of interesting to try to use the jump. And I don't know if I was the instigator or what, I can't remember, probably. But anyway, the outrun crossed the rural road that I mentioned. And so we had to put a spotter at the road to halt any traffic, any oncoming traffic. Fortunately, there was no traffic. The jump, or the takeoff and the landing hill, the transition and the outrun were terrific. Each of us had 3 or 4 jumps, but I noticed a slight bump in the snow to the right of the transition, and I didn't pay too much attention to it. So as fate would have it, on my last jump, I fell and I slammed smack. I veered to the right and slammed smack into the bulge, and it turned out to be a huge rock. And I caught my hip on it, and it was a killer. But anyway, the jump must have been one of the school's first jumps. And I don't think the administration ever found out about our use of the jump. At least we never heard about it. And that was over 60 years ago, so probably the statute of limitations is expired, and I don't think I'll be in too much trouble with Dr. Zakara.
I heard about that jump, Bill, but I when I first heard the stories, I thought it was that Warren was taking care of everybody and making sure that everything was done well. But are you saying that the students went on their own and it wasn't an official jump?
Exactly.
Oh,
we went on our own. Yep. The administration never said anything about it, so apparently they didn't know about it.
That was not the only thing in the 50s we did on our own.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Oh, I thought you had a story, George.
I can't tell it.
Probably got too many stories. Yeah.
Well, the ski jumps are always very enticing to some people. And I remember years, both as a student and working there, that, people would go off on dining hall food trays and all kinds of crazy stuff.
that's still happening. Not down the jump, but down the hill.
Right, down the hill. Usually not off the jump, Tom. However, a kid named Sammy Bartow, who was a skier, a really great cross-country skier, but he was a 4-event skier. I think he graduated in 60, maybe. He did go down the new Emerson Hill ski jump on his cross-country skis. Full-blown ski jump on cross-country skis. That is not necessarily a safe thing to do.
No.
But he did. Yeah.
Well, I
Does
also
VA
believe
have-
our coach Manson did that too.
Yeah. Well,
The outstanding soccer players, I won't mention his name, went down when they had the mattresses that had the kind of a plastic covering on off of that varsity ski jump on the mattress. He made it.
yeah.
One of the funny small stories I may have told before, but you talk about that ice hockey rink. We're in Sturtevant, so it was out in the field, and the guys had to go out and they'd have some lights on and they'd have a couple hoses. So one night I'm up at 2 o'clock and I look out the window and I see one guy the hose at the other guy. And then pretty soon the other guy flips it back. Well, this went on. And then the one boy was in our dorm. So I waited, put the cocoa on. And I mean, it's one icicle. I don't know if they ever made ice that night or not, but they had quite the battle.
Yeah,
That was
last
the-
winter carnival, we actually in Bangkok Field, it's not used very much anymore. So there was a makeshift outdoor ice surface, and no one really got a hold of it until winter carnival. And we were all out there shoveling it off and having a little 3-on-3 tournament with some little nets and stuff. And our hockey rink was entirely open, but it's just nice to get outside, especially in pond hockey or puddle hockey, I guess is what it would have been. It's just a different type of experience and so much fun.
Lauren, you never had it so good.
I have a hockey rink story. This is from the days in the 80s when the hockey rink was enclosed up on the hill, but it wasn't covered yet. And must have been our senior year. It was a very warm winter. And Jim Fry turned all the physics class out and said, we are now going to go learn about refrigeration. And we rigged this sail canopy fabric thing over the ice so that the ice wouldn't melt in the warm weather. That was before they enclosed the rink.
Yeah, I thought that chain link was always a home ice advantage back in the day.
I remember one night with Jim doing the Zamboni, and that's when it was the 55-gallon with the pipes in the towel and whatnot. And that was when it was on the field by the gym.
So we weren't the only ones that did that. Dartmouth College in their old rink called Davis Rink, that was their Zamboni before they bought a real Zamboni. They had two 55-gallon drums that they used between periods. Exactly.
Wow.
Right.
That's
So,
probably where VA got the idea from Dartmouth.
Oh no, I think we got it from Minnesota.
I had to explain that to my cousin who my uncle actually, he was from Proctor, and he was asking me about the ice rink and all that. And I was talking to him about the Zamboni and all that, because he turned out to be a hockey coach. And he was just amazed when I told him what kind of a Zamboni we had.
Yeah, hockey team used to get great workouts because we had to scrape the ice on our own. There was no Zamboni to do it. So they had these huge metal scrapers that any freshman hockey player struggled immensely to move around the rink. They were great weight workouts, but they did a great job smoothing the ice and moving the snow around. Oh yeah, then you also had to shovel the snow off the ice. Yeah, things were different then than now.
Too easy now for ice skating. They don't have any workout. Also, the thing I remember too, it wasn't really with Winter Carnival, but it was when Mr. Long, we went on a 2-day winter hike. And basically just a sleeping bag. And of course, we had the snowshoes and all that. And we went hiking. And of course, we had to make an ice hut and put our sleeping bag in there and sleep overnight. And of course, make our own fire. That was quite the thing to learn how to survive out in the winter.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. We should.
Well, we're just about to get a director of outdoor programming. We're advertising for that position. We have some great applicants, and Chase, I'm looking at your comment too, and I really am very dedicated to trying to get what Warren created back into gear, both with the outdoor programming and skiing. It was a time, I think, when that ski program started to decrease in numbers. It was because the ski schools were emerging, and I think VA thought that it couldn't compete, and that's why the decisions were made. But certainly in the prep school circuit and in other ways, we can compete. So we're working on it. It's going to take a little while, but I really do want to. There's so much with outdoor programming, as you were just describing, that really was coming from Warren, and before him, James Taylor, who I mentioned, who created the Winter Carnival. He also he started making trails for VA kids, and that generated the idea of the long trail. So he had a lot of idea hatching when he was assistant head here, and then took them on to larger contexts. But Thanks for writing that, Chase, and for all these stories. I care about this too, and we'll do what we can to try to restore all of our programming and our what James Taylor called the grand campus of not only VA's campus, but the whole of the state of Vermont, all the mountaintops, all the rivers, that's our campus too. So we have some great precursors who we can look to as we do a lot of restoration. I'm thrilled to help lead.
Does anyone else have questions? I think it's Chase sent Jennifer directly, but anyone else have questions?
Do any other Lakes Region schools have winter carnivals that even come close to ours?
They have winter carnivals, but they're not the same. You know, I'm biased, but I talk to the Lakes Region heads twice a week, especially during the pandemic. We've been really, there's been great camaraderie, and they spread them out. They might have 4 special Fridays or something like that, and they call it Carnival, but it doesn't have the history of ours or all of the events and a combination of competition and silliness.
Yeah, it's nice to hold over all of them. I like that.
Yes.
Might never have beaten Holderness at any single team sport, but at least we got them there.
Well, we only had 2 competitive days in the fall, and we nearly swept Holderness and Brewster in every sport. Right, Jazz?
Yeah, we were really lucky. We weren't sure if we were gonna have fall seasons, and luckily we got two game days in.
Nice.
And it was definitely a big win for us. So like Dr. Zakara said, almost swept both teams, and they're both really, really hard teams, especially in the fall sports. So we definitely held our heads high on that one, and I had a few friends from Brewster that I definitely teased a bit afterwards.
That's great.
I'm curious. Back in my days there, 57, 56 and 57, there was a downhill trail over by Hattern. And I'm just curious, is that trail still being used or has been closed down or?
It's not being used. We don't use that hill at all anymore.
Oh, okay.
Our ski hill is actually on the campus now.
Oh,
So it's beside the ski jump, the Emerson ski jump.
okay.
We don't use that hill at all. The downhill trail was closed down probably in the late 70s because it was a pretty dangerous downhill run, actually. It was very narrow, and the kids were generating speeds with the new ski types and the new training types, and it became a little too fast for high schoolers. It's not like the downhill trails of today on wide open slopes. It's literally a trail through the woods.
Yeah.
It would be nice to be able to use that hill somewhat, but we removed the ski toe from it. So now the ski toe is on the campus. So it's a whole different ball game. Snowboarders do hike across town and hike up the mountain and use the trails, but the ski teams and the competitive teams don't use the hill anymore.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite memories of Vermont Academy, was that little ski hill and Warren Shivers with the rope tow and keeping it going.
Yep.
Having to hike up and pack it all down, and it was fun.
Yep. And then he moved the rope tow.
He what, Jim?
He moved the rope tow. We couldn't, it was an era when the snow wasn't reliable anymore in the state of Vermont. You had to make snow, and we couldn't make snow across town. The state they weren't going to let us do the necessary evil things to the area.
It was the fastest rope tow in the state of Vermont.
Dangerous.
And dangerous.
Dangerous.
It was fun. Come on.
Why?
One fellow went over there without any gloves on, and he really burned his hands.
Yeah,
I bet.
You have to be careful of rope tows. Yeah. So, and now the rope tow we have now is a very good one. I mean, it's not nearly as fast, Franklin, but it's, people also wear gloves, so that's good.
And one of my fond memories is one of our 4-year students who played basketball. I coached him. he was bound determined when the basketball season was over at the end of his senior year, he was going to go down that ski trail. And he went over there, he borrowed some skis. It took him 45 minutes to get down that hill, but he made it.
Yeah.
It must have looked really beautiful from campus to look over at that slope
Yeah.
with the snow and the trail. Really interesting.
Along that line with the ski jumping being beautiful, watching that, just living in Sturtevant when they had the junior JV jump behind the house.
Yeah.
And they would come flying off of that, go across our backyard. We'd go right by the front room window, and finally come to a stop about at the roads. Sometimes they really went quite a ways. It would be a thrilling afternoon to sit and watch the kids jump off of that jump. There wasn't a lot of space to move on that one. I mean, to move out on. I don't know much about skiing, but we enjoyed that spot.
One of the other dangerous places on campus when we were there was the ramp out front that went down to Academy. And it was always, can you go down that on your skateboard? And that was quite the event. If you haven't tried it, try it sometime. I didn't try it.
Nowhere to stop at the bottom of that one.
No, we built skateboard ramps for those kids now to keep them off that main ramp. Oh man, kids will be kids though, you know. They should push the envelope more often. Now they have to wear helmets. In those days, Franklin didn't wear helmets.
No helmets.
You didn't even need a skateboard in the winter when that thing froze and you tried to negotiate your way down it if you were a Campbell person.
Yeah, all you had to do was hold on to that metal rail and hope for the best.
Yeah, but the rail was frozen too. That was no help.
Yeah, and if you were late for class coming up, that was your excuse. Well, I couldn't get up the ramp. Yeah, okay, good job, Grizz. That's a good one.
You know I was never late, Jim.
Yeah.
I remember back in my day, hunting was allowed at the school, and some of us were hunters, and we were allowed to bring a gun on campus, and the gun was stored in the housemaster's closet or wherever. But Angus Black was a teacher there, and he would take 2 or 3 of us out hunting occasionally, and I don't know, is that still being done at all on campus now?
Well, it isn't. We have a lot of students who are interested in a hunting club, and we have a lot of mainly faculty who feel if we do that, it should not be on campus, anywhere remotely near campus. There was also a riflery program and a lot of, back in the early days of the school, some military drills and things like that were a matter of course at most schools. So, we have alumni who have been reaching out to me to say, can we bring back all of the things that happened when Warren was running the outdoor programming? But this one is a little bit of a sensitive spot. And if we did it, I think it would have to be a club under a lot of supervision and maybe in New Hampshire. So.
Yeah, I'd like to qualify it now by saying that I'm no longer a hunter. I have no interest in. Yeah. I'm no longer mad at deer.
Mad at deer.
Yeah. I'm no longer mad at them, and I've been selling my guns. I've had enough.
Well, before I want to just say something. We've been mentioning the Emerson ski jump a lot, and he is one of my favorite alumni to research. Roger Emerson, I believe he was class of 42, but he left here. He was one of Warren's early proteges for event skier and went to Dartmouth, and then the war started and he enlisted in the mountain division. And when I was out visiting my son in Denver, I knew that all the archives were there at the Denver Library for the 10th Mountain Division. So I went and read them. And he did pass away in World War II, but I found out that he had one of the best scores for all the skiing in the 10th Mountain Division as a VA grad. And I was pretty proud of that. I also have the letter that the Levitts wrote when they found out about his passing, and how wonderful he was here as a student. So it's great to have that jump named after him, and we have so many great skiers. Some are right on this call, and I went to see John Broadhead get an honor at the Vermont Ski and Snowboard Museum, and that was really exciting too. And Rick Moulton gave all the talks and made all the movies about each skier, class of 67. So there's a lot of winter pride at Vermont Academy.
There is, and it's, this has been wonderful. And, Winter Carnival has been a big part of all of our lives. And I just want to do one quick thing and ask Diane Wilder, class of 79, who's a volunteer and trustee, to just make a quick comment about a wonderful opportunity that she's put together.
Thanks, Tom. This evening has been amazing, and it's really good to see classmates back. It touches my heart, and to see and meet other new people. The Board of Trustees put together a challenge, and we've launched it this weekend, knowing that Winter Carnival is really a very, very Vermont Academy kind of celebration of family, or celebration of the VA family. And so if you are talking to friends and classmates from VA, please let them know that we have an opportunity. If you make a new or increased recurring gift, a recurring gift is just something that repeats either monthly or annually. And you could go to the website. I could even put that into the chat after this. The Board of Trustees will match your increase or your new gift in your friends' new gifts, dollar for dollar. And this goes to support everything at VA, but people, programs, students, and of course, Winter Carnival. So that's my my words out there for you guys tonight. And thank you.
Well, thank you, Diana. Thank you for all your help and leadership. And I know you devote a lot of time to VA, and it's really appreciated. And I want to thank Jim Fry for carving out some time tonight as my moderator, co-host. And for the panelists, Jasmine, Austin, Lauren, and Lisa, thank you so much. And Bill, sorry. Thank you so much. This has really been wonderful. And it's been great to have, former faculty on, Franklin, Roberta, Joe, Lisa, current faculty. It's a really wonderful spectrum of people. Thank you so much. Jim, any closing comments?
I think this has been a really good thing to do. I agree that we should have an alumni team going forward here. I do have one question. I want to know what the human slingshot competition is, and I want to know if it's safe.
Are you volunteering to be shot?
Well, I don't know.
You can test it.
It's over now, I think, but holy mackerel. An hour and a half worth of human slingshot. Holy cow.
Yeah, that was a new event, courtesy of Mr. Galoran.
Yeah, huh.
Always creative. That's what's great.
You gotta keep the evolution going, no matter what.
Is there any consideration of, I know from my own perspective, I'd like to start attending more of the events at VA once this COVID thing is over. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if there might be an opportunity to try to encourage alumni from any class, maybe to attend the Winter Carnival and get some rooms at Saxon's River Inn, and maybe some people would attend. I'd certainly like to.
I love that idea. That's terrific.
Might get a handful. You might get 10, 12, 15,
That would be, we would love that.
Let's do it. Be our team captain.
Let's do it.
I'm thinking you're starting the alumni team there, Mr. Morton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be.
Seems unanimous.
There might be some safe events that the alumni could take part in, like the chess tournament. That sounds like.
I'm into Zumba. I can do Zumba.
Well, you know, all of the students did a strengths finder test this year, and they found out, and the faculty found out their top 5 strengths, and the number 1 strength that was shared at VA was competition.
Yeah.
It's very rare for that to be the number 1, but there it was. It says a lot about Winter Carnival and VA.
If the snow is deep enough, I'll go out of a window at third alum.
George, stop talking about that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
You're making me
If you do it, I'll
nervous.
do it too.
Who's the student? What you,
Don't
don't
tell
say,
Dr.
yeah.
DeCarlo. I
don't-
may tell some of the students.
No.
Go on,
No.
say
If it
some
happens,
phrases.
it wasn't me. I didn't tell anyone.
Or me either.
I'm sure we could do it digitally and no one would know the difference. Get Friel to do this thing.
Oh, goodness.
There we go. We can make a morning this segment
morning
about it. Then it will be
Morning
friendly.
basic. Oh, no.
Well,
I have
Jim,
to
it
be
looks
able
like
to
your fire
sleep
needs are on the
tonight,
log.
Right. I have to be able to sleep, please. No.
That's next week. Jennifer, that's next week. Sleep is next week.
No.
I've got a
Winter
correction
Carnival
button
Part
test.
2.
Tom and
Yeah.
Jim, you better sign us off.
Well, yeah, Jim's fire's dying, so he's got to build that back up.
Yeah,
But
my
thank you
fire-
all so much for coming and for sharing your thoughts, and it's been great to see you all.
Thanks for putting it together.
Yep,
And,
thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Tom.
Enjoy the snow
Thank
this
you,
weekend.
everybody.
VA.
Happy
Have a good
Winter Carnival.
weekend.
VA.
Happy